Hey everybody, my name is Sarah. In this video, I'm going to be going over how to start an art business. I've been wanting to start an art business myself, but I didn't know where to start. You always just hear, just start, but if you don't know where to start, you might end up in a path that you don't want to be in. So I made a Canva template to kind of go over my plan. We're going to do product research, figure out what kinds of art businesses we can do, where to sell, and all of that. I'm doing this for myself, but if you want to follow along, you can. I made a link in the description below to this Canva template if you want to follow along. So a little bit about me and my background. I have an art degree. My degree is in visual arts, which is half graphics design, half fine arts. I didn't go to a school that taught me it very well, and if you want to work for yourself, I honestly think YouTubing your education is better because I learned way more off of YouTube than I did in school. This is the template I made. Goes over a few things. So my YouTube name is Lost, Wild, and Free. I have been thinking so long and hard about what name I wanted for my art business, and I thought just to keep it simple, I'm gonna keep it at Lost, Wild, and Free. And honestly, it's hard to come up with a name if you don't know the direction of your company yet, if you want to be more botanical or more whimsical or pop art. So I think the name should kind of represent the theme of it. I'm not really a fan of putting my own name in it because if I grow the company, I don't know, I'm just not a fan of having your own name on it. But I really wanted the name Simply. But simply.com was taken, and so I went by Simply by Sarah. So this was the logo I had, minus this detail right here. I don't know why I put that there. I think this looks really bad. So I'm just gonna keep it at Lost, Wild, and Free. The first page on here is business structure. However, we're not really gonna fill this one out until after we do our research and kind of choose the kind of items we want in our shop, just because we may think that we want our art business to be a certain way, but then we actually do the research and find out, you know what, I actually think I want to do this instead. And so we don't want to come up with like the vibe and aesthetics, the kind of business we want until we actually determine the kind of products we want. So we're gonna skip that and go straight to research. The very first thing you want to do is research. Now you really don't want to skip this because this gives us the drive. The very first thing you want to look up is the artists that inspire you to do art. So I only have one page of this, but we can duplicate it for as many artists as we want. So what I'm gonna do is research my favorite artist, and she is kind of what made me want to get back into art. Her creative name is Creative Ingrid. She lives in London. She's literally living my dream. And I know some artists really don't like when you copy their style for some reason, but she teaches her style. She has a lot of art workshops. She has online workshops. She does in-person workshops. She's got students, so I know she likes to spread this kind of art. So I'm gonna take maybe like a screenshot. So her artist name is Creative Ingrid. Now there's a few more artists that I enjoy. So I went ahead and filled the rest of these out. If I'm going too fast, you can always pause so that you can catch up. So this other one, we're gonna go to Pinterest because there are some products that I don't really follow a specific artist for. Like this first one, I absolutely love glass cutting and glass lamps. Now this is something that I don't have the means to do now, but it might be a good product to add later on. And then I also really enjoy ceramics and just painting ceramics. I don't know if I want to make pottery, but I at least want to paint it. This is also something I don't have the means to do because I don't have a kiln. I just don't have the glazes or anything to make it. So this could be a product for the future, but it's going on the vision board. I don't know if you consider this folk art or anything else. So I think we have a good amount of products to base our vision off of. So for our first product, so we're gonna actually go more into detail and choose what products we wanna do. We have to be very realistic about this and only choose products that we know we can do now and we have the tools to do it and the skills to do it. So I know that I can do this masking fluid watercolor kind of painting. I've tried it before. And so I'm gonna put this as my first product because I just know that I can do it. So I'm gonna put the product name as watercolor paintings and prints. So I went ahead and filled these out. The tools, it's the objects that you need to make this product. Skills, painting skills, handcrafting skills, whatever skills you need to make each item. And then you're gonna click yes or no if you have these items or not. Is this a now product, a soon, or future? I went ahead and I filled out a lot of the products that I want to have in my store. But some things like this digital art, I do and I don't have tools and skills for it. I have an iPad and a pencil, but I don't necessarily have the illustration skills I need to make these items. So this will be a soon product. Ceramics is something I don't have the skills or the tools to do now, but what I can do is paint on the outside of it. I'm not going to be able to paint on the inside because that needs to be food safe and it needs to be fired in a kiln to do that, but I can paint on the outside and cover it with Mod Podge. Now that we have a good understanding of the kind of products we want in our shop, at least now, soon, or in the future, we can go back to the business structure and kind of fill out some of this information, like what's our business name, and what's our vibe? Maybe you don't know the business name yet, but based off of the products that you want to sell, what's the vibe? So my vibe is botanical. So I like flowers and plants and stuff. I don't know if it's whimsical, but I'm gonna put folksy. Let's go over the kind of art businesses you can do. Let's go over pros and cons of each one. If you do handcrafted items, the pros are you have a very artsy vibe to you. You're probably a true artist if you're doing everything handcrafted. I want to do some things handcrafted, but I don't want my whole business to be about handcrafted items because you're limiting yourself. That's the con. You're limiting yourself and the amount of income you can make. Because let's say you can only make 20 items a week, you might have to charge a really high amount of money for those 20 items. So you might want to think about having a smaller, cheaper item that you can sell more of, even if it's not the main thing you want to do, but just to kind of keep business afloat. Now you could go into the more make one, sell many, especially if you're someone who does paintings. You have lots of options with that, like Creative Ingrid. She paints almost everything she does, but she sells art prints of it. She partners with companies to put it on water bottles and phone cases. I don't think she does much of it, but she does it at least, and she even sells courses. So if you're in the more artsy, traditional, think about doing an art course or going on Skillshare. And obviously, YouTube is a great option if you want to teach others. So think about kind of teaching others how to do your methods. So then we have art licensing, which is the one I want to get into the most. You can get an art agent out there that will reach out to companies to see if they will put your art on their products. Art agencies do make a big cut of the commission, but I'd rather make 60% of a deal rather than 0% of no deals, because they'll get you deals. And they'll also go over the contracts with you and the legal side of it. So you could reach out to those companies yourself, but do you really know how to negotiate? I don't see really many cons with this other than some contracts might prevent you from using your art on other stuff during the duration of your contract with the company. But the pros is you get to keep your art. It is still your art. I don't find there to be too many cons with art licensing. It sounds like a pretty sweet deal. You do art, somebody tries to put it on someone else's product, and you could get a commission off of it. You could get a one-time payment off of it. The good thing is those art agents will negotiate a deal for you. Working with a manufacturer is also another option. This is something I see a lot of artists do, other than art licensing, where companies will put your art on their products. This is where you put your art on your products. So there's a lot of manufacturers here in the US, but there's also a lot in China. If you use Alibaba, you can look up quite a bit. Sometimes they have a minimum quantity order amount. It could be 1,000, but honestly, some of them might not be that busy to really require it. So always send an inquiry to see if they really do have a minimum order quantity. So you can send your artwork to them. Let's say you're a t-shirt designer and you want to just have it printed on it. You could do embossed, you can do embroidered. If you do something customized like that, they are probably going to have a minimum quantity. But you could also just order in bulk without any customization. So let's say you just want to buy a lot of t-shirts and you do the t-shirt press at your house. They might not have a minimum order quantity if you're not customizing anything. So Alibaba is kind of a good resource to use if you want to do stuff like that. I do follow some artists that put their own art on their own products. They somehow get companies to make products for them, and then they ship it to them and buy in bulk, and then you store it in your own warehouse, and pretty much that's your company's office, and you ship it off there and deal with business in your own office with your own storage, with your own art products there. Then there's dropshipping. Don't click on those videos that are like, make $10,000 a day on dropshipping. That's just a scam. They're just trying to get you to buy their dropshipping course. There is a way to do it more naturally though. Let's say you just want to start with one product. Places like Printify, Printed Mint, Printful, they all have a print on demand type of company and service. If you want to put your artwork on that stuff, great. The only problem is most of your followers are probably going to want to see you make a product. They want to see you advertise it. Let's say this is the bottle I made. Some companies will do a bottle. They want to see you advertise it at least. Sometimes the problem with dropshipping is you've probably put a mocked up version of your water bottle on your site and it kind of looks fake. If you're gonna use dropshipping, at least order your own products so that you can take pictures of your own products and show those products to your followers. And the last one I'll talk about is freelance and commission. I absolutely hate this one. I do. Because that advice that people say of just start, that's the one I did. I was like, okay, I'll just start freelancing, and I did a few projects. I did logos, I've done photos. I cannot stand the idea of trying to please other people with my artwork because you will spend more time on it than you would have because they don't like what you did. So now you've got to start all over. It's just so much work. That's why I say make a plan first, because that is what I just started. I want to be able to make my own art the way I want to make it. If you like it, great, you can buy it. If not, you can move on. Now that you know what kind of products you want in your store, you can determine what kind of art business you want to be. You don't have to choose just one of these because for me, I want to make a few handcrafted items, but I don't want that to be my whole business. I really want to do art licensing. So we can choose, which ones we want to do, which ones are absolute no's. For me, that's freelance and commission. I absolutely do not want to do that. And the good thing about doing this after your product research is you may have thought that you wanted to do one thing until you realize the kind of products you want to do might be completely different. You may have thought that you had the skills and the resources to do one, but realize that may come later and you have to start with something else now. So after we now have a vision of where we want to go, let's go over our brand guide. So if you're not a graphic designer, there are plenty of services out there that will help you create a logo. Canva being one of them. Canva does a lot of graphic design work for you so that you don't have to. There's a free and a paid version. But I also really like this company called Placeit. I was using them before I found out about Canva. They have a logo maker. You can swap out the images, the graphics, the colors, the fonts. And they also have a t-shirt mock-up generator. You can insert your designs into these images. They also have templates if you want to customize one for YouTube. And they also have social media templates as well. To choose colors, I like to use this website called Coolers.
It lets you press on the space bar and lock in colors that you want, and you can come up with a whole color palette. For fonts, I like to use defont.com. It lets you type in a word and you get to see the word in those fonts. Download it to your computer, it'll save it as a zip file. Open that up and then put it into your font book. And then once it's in the font book, you can go ahead and delete the files. You don't need it because it's already embedded in your computer now. Make sure that the fonts that you download you are able to use on your products. A lot of fonts are copyrighted, so you need a license to use them because an artist made it. So you can go to the artist website and buy the license to use them, or you have the option to make your own fonts. And just a few font tips. Please stay away from overly used fonts. Papyrus has probably been used by every spa in the nation. It's so overused, and Comic Sans. And if you want to use a cursive font, please stay away from the digital looking cursive fonts that look fake. You want to go with a more handwritten font that someone actually wrote out. And when it comes to packaging, you can go all out and design custom packaging so the experience is great. I'm not a fan of that because it's just an extra cost, but if you really like it, No Issue is a company that will put your logo and a design on all kinds of things like packages, mailers, stickers, tissue paper, you name it. But if you're like me and you don't want to spend money on that because your customer is just going to throw it away, if you live in the US, you can use USPS. They will give you free boxes and mailers. Now you still have to pay for the label just like any other package, but the actual box and packaging will be free and you have the option to send it to your house as well. So I'm going to go ahead and fill out this brand guide. I'm going to use the same logo as my YouTube channel, but you see how it doesn't look very good in a circle? You're going to want to have your logo look good in a circle because of all social media platforms puts your logo in a circle. And I'm just going to bring over the screenshot of the colors. For the fonts, I'm not thinking too hard about it because unless I'm making print, I'm not really going to be using fonts because most of my stuff will be digital. And then for shipping, I'm using the free USPS option. Now, I did include a page of some graphic design tips. It's just a little bit to help you out.
So what kind of social media platform should you be on? I would stick to the basics: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and that's it. There's so many apps that can come out, but those right now are going to be the tried and true way to showcase your work to others. TikTok especially, just being on there all the time, people have blown up their accounts on there. So then you really want to consider what kind of selling platform you want to be on. They have TikTok shop, there's Facebook and Instagram have their own shop. You have your own website, you can do Etsy. If you're someone who just does digital stuff, you can be on Redbubble, Society6. So you can also sell in person. There's shops that will buy your stuff in bulk and sell there, or let you put your products on a table, maybe if they're like a local shop. You could do markets, art markets, farmers markets. There's plenty of places you can sell in person. Now, when you want to do a product launch or your store launch, make sure to start teasing your audience. You want to start posting on your social media before the products come out. So there's lots of things to consider when you're starting an art business. And setting yourself up legally is one of them. I'm not a legal expert or a tax expert to be giving any kind of advice, but here's some of the things that I've learned myself. You want to either set yourself up as like a sole proprietor, LLC, however you want to do it. Make sure you legally set yourself up with the government. You maybe have to do a DBA, doing business as, if you're like a sole proprietor. You just have to learn like the taxes that go behind it too, setting aside taxes. Because, you know, if you're employed with somebody, they set aside taxes for you. But if you're working for yourself, you have to do that yourself. But not only income taxes you have to learn, it's sales tax. Sales tax is something that's totally different than income tax. You have to sign up with your state's government to be able to collect and submit sales tax. And so look up your state's sales tax laws and also look up Nexus. Nexus is something that came out, I think, in like 2011. because you were only charging sales tax to people in your own state. But if you're doing an online business and you're selling to people in like Georgia, let's say I'm in Florida, I'm selling to Georgia, before you didn't have to charge sales tax to them. But now if you have Nexus, you will have to start charging sales tax to those people. So it's a whole law about reaching a certain threshold in a certain state. Let's say Georgia decided it's $50,000. I have to track how much sales I've made in Georgia. And once I reach a certain amount, I then have to start charging sales tax to people in Georgia and then submitting those taxes to people in Georgia. So there are companies like TaxJar, that's a plugin and a service you can pay for, that will track how much money you've made in certain states and when you have to start charging sales tax to people in those states. It's a whole thing. So look up income tax, look up sales tax. You want to set yourself up for success and do it the right way. So find yourself a legal professional and a tax professional to give you advice on all this stuff, because I unfortunately am not able to do that. Right now, you might have to have many hats. You have to be your social media person, you might have to be your own tax person, you might have to do all these things. But the bigger you get, the better it is to hire professionals in those areas to help you so that you can focus on your art. So if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped you be a little more organized on how you can start your art business. It has definitely helped me be organized, and I feel a little better prepared to start. Hopefully coming up, I can do a little more vlogs on starting the art business. But for now, thank you so much for watching.